Like my girl Britney Spears said, oops, I did it again. So what we have here is a 2011 BMW 335i sedan with a beautiful kind of caramely brown interior, single hump, no navigation. Most importantly, a nice 6-speed transmission, and about 70,000 miles. The reason I got this, one, it was like 4 blocks from my house, kind of crazy. 2, it has rod knock. It has pretty bad rod knock. So what I have in the trunk of the car out here is, I don't know, $600 worth of parts that are hopefully going to make this car significantly more useful and valuable. So that's the mission. There's been some developments. We are into the oil pan. I can see connecting rods. So today we should be popping off the oil pump, pickup tube, and then we should be staring at the rods, and we'll get those off and say some prayers that this didn't fully spin a bearing and it's just knocking. So part 2 took about 3 or 4 hours to get here. The secret ingredient was to use a air hammer to get the steering shaft off of the steering rack. That was a big pain in the butt. So air hammer, use it. We have rods. Oh. See, what you want is really just not that. Bunk, 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 bunk. So if the bearing is just bad and beat to hell and we can replace it, that's good. But if the bearing has fully spun, then the crank is hurt and we have bigger problems. So next step is going to be removing the rod caps. See what we see. All right. Survey says we have a partially spun bearing. You see right there. Actually, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Are these like fused together? So you've got bearing, crank, and then up top you see bearing again. There was no bearing in the lower rod, and I don't see any bearing in the top. Interesting. However, based on my eyeball, I don't see any like major, massive, horrible scoring. So, I don't know. My initial impression is just slap some new bearings in it and see what happens. It's probably not the right thing to do, but I don't think the crank's coming out of that to get machined, so we're gonna find out. All right. So where we left off was that journal's pretty funky. Kind of passes the fingernail test. Mostly passes the fingernail test. So what I'm gonna do is hit it with some sandpaper, because that's the right thing to do, right? So we got some 400 grit, some 600 grit, and some WD-40. Saw some video of some old guy polishing a rusty-ass crank journal using this method, which I'll show you. Wrap the shoelaces around the sandpaper, around the journal, shooby-dooby-doo-wop, and patience and time, hopefully we'll have a smoother crank journal. So that's the plan. Then we're gonna put it back together, see what happens. All right, it's taken a surprising amount of time to jig up, but what we have is 400 grit sandpaper soaked with WD-40, wrapped in a flat shoestring, and this is what we're doing. So we'll see how that turns out. Might switch to 600 after, depending on how it looks. We'll see. So here's what I have after some 400 grit and a little 600 grit. That's as good as it's gonna get. Kinda always did pass the fingernail test. So I don't know. It's obviously significantly worse than a nice polished crank journal, but that's what I got. So we'll see. New bearings, standard size, installed on all 6. Our spun cylinder has an audible play after being torqued down significantly more than any other cylinders. So strategy is oversized bearings and then throw it in the woods. I don't know what I have or haven't recorded in a while. So what we've got here is the bottom end more or less back together. And we didn't plastic gauge any of these, but with a 0.25 quarter-inch oversized bearing on the cylinder 6 that was sloppy as all get out, we did plastic gauge it and have 0.076, which I think is the exact, tightest that it can be, and there's no observable play. It's tighter than the other ones, but that's just gonna have to be how that is. So, entering reassembly now. It's been like a week since filmed a clip. Snapped another oil pump bolt. Tragedy. Getting terrible fuel economy in this thing. Ugh. Survey says fuel filter line. Changing to fuel filter line. Neutral. Foot on brake. Is that jump pack still jumping?
Yeah.
We need more juice.
Well, there's a battery out of Josh's car over here.
Well,
Why not? Why not?
hook it up, see if it'll fire.
What's the worst that can happen?
Okay.
Wasn't making those horrible sounds. What? Yeah, I was hearing something there. Did you hear it?
Well, so some of it was when I let the clutch out. That was clutch rattle.
Oh, okay.
But as soon as I gave it throttle, it did just shut off.
Oh. I'm hearing a steady ticking.
Yeah. Alright, give it some throttle. Oh no. Uh-oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty willing, I guess, to let it just idle.
Did you hear it out here?
Yeah. There's really no harm in letting it idle. It's fucked or it's not.
Yeah.
I'm surprised by how loud that clutch is, though, when you have it out in
No
neutral.
kidding.
was the gamble. Aren't you glad you didn't financially invest in this project?